Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's session. Thanks for waiting, by the way, everyone.
Hello, everyone. Welcome
I'm just
to today's session. Thanks for waiting, by the way. Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's session.
Right. So again, I'm welcoming you guys, and I'm very excited for today's session in particular. We'll start by, so for those of you just joining us, welcome. Just a quick introduction before we get started. My name is Miss Mary. I am a language acquisition expert. So I'm specialized in neurolinguistics. As a certified teacher for over 8 years. Just gonna put this one up. Right. So you can see the script. All right, so shout out to the webinar moderator and facilitator for IELTS Arabia, which is Ms. Hanadi. Ms. Hanadi, she has a master in English language, and she is your facilitator for this session. Okay, so let's get started. If you guys have any questions regarding anything, we'll discuss that at the end of the class. If it's regarding the IELTS, your own concerns, things that you have in mind, we're gonna discuss everything at the end of the session. All right, so let's get started. First of all, as you all know, IELTS means it's just an abbreviation of the International English Language Testing System, which is a standardized English language assessment exam for non-native English speakers. So people who have English as their second language. Now, has two pathways or two types of candidates. It's either the academic tests, which is we call it also AT, and the general test, GT. As of the usage, we all know the difference when it comes to the academic. From the name itself, it's really all about the educational advancement or the professional advancement, of course. The general test is used more for work, immigration, secondary education, and much more. Okay, so it's more common. As of usually nowadays, since it's the pandemic, there's more computerized IELTS than the paper-based IELTS, right? They are very similar when it comes to the modules. Of course, they're identical, but when it comes to the experience, it really depends on your technicalities and how well you can use the technology. If you are fast in writing, of course, just like you are practicing writing down quickly, you should practice typing when it comes to computer IELTS. It's much more faster when you take it in a computer, so the result declaration is super fast in 3 days, maximum 5 days. And the test conducted or availability It's more than the paper-based IELTS. Of course, as you can tell, it's keyboard mouse versus sheet and pencil. We have on IBTSI just like a quiz, a quick quiz, if you are more a computer-based student versus if you are more of a paper-based candidate or student. All right, let's jump to how you can register for the IELTS exam. Of course, the first step is you prepare yourself, you read the registration instruction, and all of that. Then you select what type of IELTS you need. It's either for immigration or if you have to go to study abroad. And of course, you register, creating your profile. You need like a valid passport or an ID, depends on your country. Of course, you secure your place and then you get the confirmation. Until you do that step, let's just talk about really everything regarding your exam. In your exam, you have 4 major modules. You got the first skill, which is the listening skill. You got 4 sections in your listening, which we're going to go further on and talk about each one of them. But for now, we're just going to look at the whole structure of the exam. You got 40 questions in that listening exam, 30 minutes and 10 minutes to transfer the answers. So 30 minutes you will listen to the recording and then 10 minutes to transfer. Of course, the difference between them is basically more in the writing and the essence of the reading. So the resource of the reading. As of the sections and the questions and the minutes, they are very similar between both of the candidates, GT and AT. The difference is the resource, where in the AT, they go to magazines that are more academic, research that are more academic, posts, and there are all real things, like real articles, real texts, real things. The same thing when it comes to the general, and the resource is more like work related, or sometimes the research is more not specified into a really academic things. It's more general, like, you know, general magazine, newspapers and stuff like that. Okay, now the writing, you guys, is different, but not quite different. Of course, you got 2 tasks. When it comes to the weight, 40% for the first task and 60% for the second task for both. The first task is different between the GT and the AT. So if you are a GT student, you are expected to write an email, which is previously called a letter. They still keep it a letter because even if it's an email, the format and everything is still considered to be a letter. But as you all know, nowadays, we barely use the, you know, the letter type of things. We usually go digital. All right, and the task 2, which is where all the weight of the writing goes and all your score goes to that section, which is task 2, where you have to write 250 words as minimum, and you got 40 minutes to do so. We'll talk about in details how they are further on during that session, this session. The speaking, of course, you have 3 parts. You start by intro, and then cue card, and then you go with the conversation with an interviewer. The general time is about 14 to 15 minutes for your speaking. Of course, you gotta try to talk as much as possible, use different type of wordings, synonyms, acronyms, collocations, idioms, and different things that it needs to work on if you are really looking toward having a high score. Okay, so the listening module, it's, as we said, 4 sections, and you got 30 minutes. Section 1, it's the easiest one. Okay, section 4 is the I'm not gonna say hard. I always tell my students it's the challenging one. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. So it goes gradually. Okay, it goes from easy to the hardest one. The first section, you listen to general everyday topic conversation between 2 people that probably you've heard before. Then the second one is 1 person talking, but it's also about a general topic. The third one is basically more about academic, and the fourth one as well. So the third section, fourth section, academic, you will hear conversation between 2, 3, sometimes 4 people in the third year. And fourth section, you will hear a lecture. The lecture is very specific, guys. That being said, when it comes to the whole preparation in IELTS Arabia, what we do is basically we have skill practices, and we have sectionized the type of questions based on the skills and the assessment needed to complete that skill and assessment. So we'll go through each section in IELTS Arabia, and basically particularly we go to task by task, question by question. We practice all the questions. All the questions we do have to do skill practices before we do the actual practice. And this skill practice helps a lot for you to understand exactly what they need you to hear. I mean, like when you are hearing a listening recording, what do you need to do when you are listening? You gotta try it. So we have like a free class for all of y'all. It's just a surprise that, you know, at the end of the class you have a free class to it's gonna be the strategy class. So when it comes to strategy, since I'm a language acquisition expert, I do give not only strategies, I give like very specific strategy when it comes to your vocabulary learning and all the aspects of the IELTS. So yeah, the one that a lot of people worry about is 3 and 4, specifically 4, but we got you covered when it comes to 4. It's when you will take the course, you will see that everything is super organized. You will have the breeze of studying IELTS. It's not like you are really having a lot of resources. You know, there's online, you can go to YouTube, you can go anywhere, you can have like apps and all of that. The purpose of IELTS Arabia is to really organize the pace, and we have a very specific plan that we go through. I will talk about that also later. Module, it's about 8 units in IELTS Arabia. It has a lot of questions. Recently, they've been giving a little bit hard reading exams. I'm wondering why. But honestly, if you are stuck into the plan and you go through everything and all the questions, it should be very much easier, like less stressful, less challenging than when you are doing that by your own, honestly. But really, it depends on your own perspective. So 3 reading passages for both GT and AT. It contains, when it comes to the GT, the section 1 contains 2 or 3 short factual texts. Section 2 contains 2 short work-related factual texts. And I gotta read it because it's really literally, this is how it goes. Section 3 contains 1 longer text on a topic of general interest. So, as we said, texts are authentic, so they are genuine, and they're taken from company handbooks, official documents that are real. Okay, so writing here we said it's all about, the difference is in task 1. Here's a letter, and there you have to describe a graph in the academic training module. The actual challenge is in, and since like it's more challenging and have more weight on the exam, we focus on it more. The letter, I never had any student like, worry about the letters, honestly. The essay and the writing is more challenging when it comes to students. With IELTS Arabia, it's very organized. Everything that you need to do, like step by step, things that you really need to understand so you can get high score. Everything that you need is already organized, so you can be able to study it and get a high score. That's what matters, honestly, is to really study effectively. Okay, the speaking is, as we said, part 1. You get your intro and your interview. You just talk about yourself. What do you do? And do you work? Do you have a family? What is your preferences when it comes to food, vacation, daily routine, traditions, traveling, hobbies, if you've got. The main important part when it comes to the speaking is, this is where you have to show off. Okay, you show off that you're confident, you're capable of speaking the language, you're not scared. What makes a lot of people just go blank, it's because basically, as we said, as I always say, the speaking and the writing part is your creative side. So those are your creative skills. And if you're reading and your listening is not at the same level in your English, this is where you're gonna face a problem. And a lot of people, they know a lot when it comes to the English language. You've been studying that your whole life. But when it comes to writing, when it comes to probably reading, it's not that much because they didn't practice that much. And this is where exactly I like to step up the game when it comes to my students, give them the read strategies, how you can effectively get, because each student, I will explain to you why each student is different. And honestly, it's important that you evaluate your level. And I will speak about that in details later on. It's important that you know your level. It's important you know what type of learner you are. The type and the strategies that you use is also important. So part 2 is a monologue where you've got just a cue card, 1 to 2 minutes to prep, and then you've got your time to talk, and without stopping about that cue card points, main points. You stop whenever the examiner tells you to stop. Part 3 is the discussion between you and the examiner. They just want you to express more your opinion, examples, and so on. That's going to be like very specific. So it's usually related and linked to part 2 cue card. By the way, in IELTS Arabia, we will really understand what is the examiner and how is the examiner choosing the questions. This part 3 is really hard to predict, but there is a pattern that we will go through in IELTS Arabia, and we will understand exactly how it goes. So in your mind, you know exactly how to direct your examiner somehow, okay? As we said, it's hard to predict, but we know the patterns, okay? Okay, as we said previously, as I said, why am I using like we? Sorry. So as I said earlier, it's important that you know your learning style. Not only it's important for you as an IELTS examiner, but it's nice to know as well, for example, if you're a mom, you have kids, and you want them to really study productively rather than wasting their time, you have to just try the VARK learning models. So the learning style in VARK means it's an abbreviation of the visual, and then you've got the read and write, or the auditory, and the tactile, or the kinetics. So it's visual, and then you got the auditory, and then you got the read and write, and then you got the tactile or the kinetic, right, like type of learning. So your learning style says a lot about you. And this is a self-assessment type of questionnaire that you can go to their website. This is really based on researches and a researcher back in the 1970s. So he basically put together the psychology and education all in one, and he came up with that module. So if we go just a little bit closer, if you would like just to identify yourself, some people are visual learners, and if you are a visual learner, you like things that looks good, the information that appeals good as an information. So you like pictures of the information, you like to see colors, you like to see, you know, the word itself, but related to pictures. So like flashcards, you like to take notes, but the notes that you're taking are also, if they are colorful and visual appealing, you tend to recall the information easier. So it's easier for you to remember. That's what I mean. So you like to watch, for example, videos. You like to imagine for example, if you hear a new word, you like to associate it in your brain with a picture. Of course, these type of learners, they like to write it down, honestly. But the way that they write it down, it should not be, they might not have like the perfect handwriting, but it's like appealing. They like to choose colors, you know, highlight and all of that. So drawing, they draw a lot, and they use, as I said, a lot of colors. If you are the type of read and write, those people really love to see the information as words. So they like to see boards. These are like, you know, the very classic type of students or like learners. They like to take notes on everything. They rewrite things. So for example, if they have new vocabulary lists, okay, they like to write it down and rewrite it down to make sure that they have it in their mind. Okay, so when they write it down, it's easier for them to memorize it later on. They like words, they like to translate, they love that. Okay, on the other hand, the auditory learner, those people like to listen. So they kind of remember lyrics of songs very quickly. So if they associate words and learning the language, like English language, to listening to songs, to really listening, using their the way that they listen to information, for example, watching movies, repeating things as well, and they like to talk the information aloud. So if they, for example, are learning something new, they like to really pretend that they're teaching someone and saying the information aloud. Okay, it's like somehow they're recording in their brain, and this is how they memorize the information. And then we got the kinesthetic or the tactile type of people. If you are one of these type of learners, you like examples, you like to see and discuss a lot. You get active when it comes to learning. So you like to learn the language talking to other people. So you go to strangers and you start to practice the language. Those people really have the guts to break the ice, as we say, when it comes to learning a language. Okay, so each one of them, of course, they have weak points, and some people are more than one. Okay, if you want to really know exactly what type of learner you are, go to the VARK and try their questionnaire. I highly recommend that. Okay. All right. So here is the part where I'm just going to explain what I do for my students. The first thing I do is I do a gap analysis, which means that I will send an assessment to each one of my students and they will answer the questionnaire. In that questionnaire, I will give you the exact analysis where you are, what's your level, and what you need to study in order to progress to the next level. So usually in English language, we have A1, A2, which is the basic students, and then we have B1, B2, B2 plus, and then which is the intermediate, and then we got C1, C2, which are the advanced students or learners in general. Okay, any language. Honestly, when you know exactly where you stand in the gap analysis here with IELTS Arabia, I will give you details exactly where you are and what you need to do and what type of information and grammar, for example, you need to review. In IELTS, you really don't need to review a lot of grammar. It's more about like your skills, but sometimes it's good to refresh your mind. Okay, it's good to refresh your mind. That in particular, this one, I developed the IELTS prep guide. And the IELTS prep guide that I created is basically handouts of the essential grammar, but the gap analysis gives you exactly what grammar you need as an individual, okay? Not for everyone. So your level, what you need to complete so you can get to the next level in English language. Okay, in the IELTS curriculum that we will take is a Cambridge curriculum. I also involve into time management and strategies as well. So for example, we're doing a task. We really will stick into the time. We have 6 minutes to complete the task. Everything, all the material that I give you, it's uploaded in the Google Classroom. You can go back to it and you can see it and you can review it as well. It's well organized in the Google Classroom. I will show you one after we finish. As I said, skill practices and language mythologies. I really give you the best technique so you can really learn vocabulary in a short period of time. Since the IELTS, you need to learn a lot of vocabs when you're writing, you're talking, you're speaking. So yeah, language mythologies and skill practices. What's differentiate IELTS Arabia than anybody else in the whole education system is that we have the day-to-day IELTS study plan. So it's a 28 a very detailed plan that each day you will go to ibtsi.com, you have your logins, and you will go to your day and read exactly what you need to do, and you follow that particular plan. It's really specified by topic, skill, and task per day. Okay, so since it's really in a short, the whole workshop it's about a month, but the classes are 4 times a week. Other than the classes, you have also tasks to do every day. So at the end of the month, you have the confidence and you know that you covered all the topics in the listening, all the topics in the reading, and of course, related to that, your writing and your speaking. So it's a guarantee improvement for all of my students. So the beginning and the end of the workshop, you improve drastically because you know exactly where you are, what you need to do, and how you will study and what you need to do as specifically yourself. So I give also, of course, the best resources. There's free books, 4 free books as well. Those are all the free books included like in the package when it comes to IELTS Arabia. And so that's the IELTS script guide. And there's also the study planner. The study planner, it's a language learning planner for all of y'all for like assessing the session today. You will get it for free, the planner. The IELTS script guide, you can get it, for free when you are signed up with IELTS Arabia. If you want to get just the IELTS script guide, you can go to my Instagram page and go to the link. You will see it there. Okay. All right. So it's about like the IELTS script guides. This is related to the course, but if you want to have it by its own, it's about like $10. Okay. But if you are with IELTS Arabia, it's for free for my students. Okay. So yeah, so because of you related to Hanadi, you have 70% off, and you also have free class, as I said previously. Okay, do you have any questions for me regarding anything that you are worried about, for example? It doesn't have to be IELTS Arabia. Is it clear? Because we're live, I'm just going to stop sharing. We're live on YouTube.
Everything clear, Mary. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone. I will send you guys by tomorrow morning the free study planner. If you have any question, you can just send me an email. All right. Thank you so much for today. Have a great evening.